Hello, my name is Georgianne Ford with the Alpha Center for Divorce Mediation, and I'm here today with a guest, one of our speakers, Michael Hughes, who's one of the expert mediators for the firm. Michael's been with the firm for over 20 years, one of the most experienced lawyers there, and he's here today to talk to us about alimony in Pennsylvania, which I'm sure we all have a lot of questions about. So Michael, please.
Thank you, Georgianne. I appreciate the introduction. Really, as an attorney mediator, one thing that couples come to us with questions about very often is alimony. And the question is, will I have to pay alimony, or am I entitled to alimony? And the question regarding entitlement is there is no entitlement to alimony in Pennsylvania. Alimony is something that it needs to be argued for, and the question is there financial need for alimony in this case? And it really is on a case-by-case basis that the courts make a determination on whether alimony is required in a case. It's not like child support. Child support is really considered something that's mandated, or an entitlement for child support. If someone is due and owed child support, then they will receive it. But alimony is not that way. And as I said, it's a case-by-case basis.
Michael, was it always like that with alimony?
Say that one more time, I'm sorry.
Was it always like that with alimony, the law?
For as long as I've been practicing, it's been that way in Pennsylvania, that there's always been the question that, is there a financial need in this case? And as I said, it's a case-by-case basis that the courts look at, and that we as mediators look at as well.
Okay.
And there are 17 factors that courts take into consideration in saying, is there alimony needed in this case? And it's not just the courts take those into consideration. Myself as a mediator, through the mediation program that we have, we take those 17 factors into consideration as well. And not that every factor isn't taken into consideration in each case. They are. Two of the main ones, though, are length of marriage and disparity in income. The longer the marriage, the greater the difference in income, the more likely that a court or a mediator would say that there is alimony due and owing to the person who earns less. It's not saying that a shorter marriage, that there wouldn't be someone who would get alimony, or if the income isn't the incomes are closer, that someone won't get alimony. You then have to take a look at all of the factors to determine. But again, those two are main factors that come into play in a case when you're talking about alimony. The other question too that someone will ask is, well, what's the amount of alimony? And again, this is discretionary for a judge, and it's discretionary for a mediator as well on saying what amount of alimony is due. You can take a look at a spousal support calculation or something like that with regard to saying, okay, that's a starting point on where we'll talk about on what the amount of alimony should be. But again, it's discretionary, and it's something, especially in mediation, you can talk about and say, well, what is the best number for both of you in getting to what a true alimony figure would be? And then really one of the other things that someone will ask is, well, how long do I have to pay alimony, or how long will I receive alimony? Again, discretionary in Pennsylvania, that a judge and a mediator can make a determination based on those 17 factors on the length of alimony. In many counties in Pennsylvania, there's a rule of thumb that's used that says for every 3 years of marriage, there's 1 year of alimony. So again, that's a good place to start in discussing length of alimony. If you have a 21-year marriage with people sitting in front of you, you can say, okay, the starting point to discuss this then would be 7 years of alimony because you're 21 years of marriage. So it gives you an area to talk and to discuss and say, this is where we can go from here.
I don't think that a lot of us, including myself, would even think that alimony is something that could be discussed in mediation. So it's just another avenue to go when we don't always realize that would be a better path.
It absolutely is something that is discussed, and as I do with anyone who comes in a consult, we cover the major areas that would be covered even before a judge of custody, child support, distribution of the marital estate, and alimony. So yes, and the benefit again to doing this through the mediation process is any couple who comes and talks to me, they realize they're coming in with their whole world and they're going to walk out with a piece of it, whether it's through mediation or through litigation before a judge. But when you mediate, the benefit to mediation is you are working in agreement, or the couple, I should say, is working in agreement that best fits both of them. So they know they're giving something up, but they're making an agreement that best fits both of them. And if children are involved, they're hopefully benefiting their children with the way that they're able to work together and move forward.
Rather than having someone make that decision for both of them.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. And then I think one of the last items that I would want to cover with alimony is the tax treatment of alimony. Prior to December 31, 2018, tax treatment was different then than it is after December 31, 2018. Prior to that date, the payor of alimony would get a tax deduction for the amount that he paid. And then the payee, the person who received it, would then have to treat whatever money they received as alimony as income on their tax returns. After December 31, 2018, that's no longer the case. The money paid is not a deduction, and the money received is not treated as income. It's just a payment. It's just a payment. So again, that comes into play on the amount that you would talk about that someone would receive as well, because the tax treatment is different. So that's a very important factor that I think people know more now, but when it was fresh, people were still thinking about the tax treatment the other way.
I wonder if you could answer the question. Probably other people listening or have the same question. What's the difference between alimony and spousal support that we hear about?
Spousal support is really prior to the divorce decree being issued, and really what spousal support is in place for is to help the person who earns less maintain themselves through the divorce proceeding. Alimony is really post-divorce, post-decree being issued, and really what alimony is supposed to be in place for is to help set the financial future for the person who earns less. It's supposed to give that person an opportunity to say, I don't want to say get back on their feet, but to make themselves financially secure because they were earning less. And it's again, helping them make themselves more financially secure.
So spousal support is before.
And alimony is after. Yes.
Great. Thanks for explaining it.
Sure.
I'm wondering what else, so if we bring this to mediation, all I can think about is the time savings and money, not to put that all through the courts, all the time it takes to talk about that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And no, mediation is definitely going to be a cost saver for people rather than litigating. If you litigate every piece of this, from custody, support, distribution of marital estate, and alimony, you are going to spend a lot of money litigating every piece of that before a judge. In mediation, we try to put it all together for you. And again, where you two can work in agreement that best fits both of you, and if children are involved, your children as well, in those same areas: custody, child support, equitable distribution, and alimony. And then you'll be saving that money for yourself and for your spouse and your ex-spouse and for your kids as well.
Well, I'll tell you, just to listen to these blogs myself, and I know anybody who listens in on these different blogs from Alpha Center, so helpful, because it's just going to save us so much time to just decide which direction we want to go, what's the best direction. And these are topics we just don't think about till we're right there on top of them. So
very true.
This is so helpful, and we appreciate you coming on, being a guest today, and all you do for the Alpha Center. So if anybody wants to reach Michael Hughes or has questions for the Alpha Center for Divorce Mediation, free consultation is available. Please call 1-800-310-9085. Ask for Michael, or anybody who answers that phone will be able to answer your questions. Thanks again, Michael, for being our guest. Please come back again.
Absolutely. Thank you, Georgianne.